Hey everyone, and welcome to my Gym Leader Challenge series where I play through Pokemon Fire Red as a gym leader and see how long it takes to finish the game. I won't use items in battle, as that seems to be standard for anyone doing Pokemon challenges on YouTube. I'll be playing on set mode to make it slightly harder. I'll allow evolving Pokemon beyond the stages that the gym leader uses, so the early gym leaders aren't at such a disadvantage. And finally, I'll be playing at 4 times speed and ranking the leaders based on real time spent completing the game. As this is episode 1, I'll be starting with the first gym leader in Kanto, Brock, who enjoys using rock and ground type Pokemon with high defense and not much else going for them. I feel like Brock was the first gym leader in the game to teach new players the difference between physical and special moves. Feeling like you're banging your head against a brick wall trying to scratch and tackle the Geodude to death, and then realising that Bubble, Vine Whip or even Ember make short work of Brock's team. Playing as Brock, I'll have no real threats from physical attackers with my team's massive defense, but every special attacker is a worry, and considering Geodude and Onix's biggest weaknesses are also special, I don't look forward to dealing with them. In the interest of getting Brock's team assembled as quickly as possible, I've replaced Charmander with Onix, who we named Toph. I figured Squirtle would be the hardest rival choice for us to face, with its high defense to resist our physical moves, and also our 4 times weakness to water. After defeating our rival, Paper, it's time to start preparing for Brock vs Brock. Toph's painfully low attack is on display, as it takes multiple screeches and tackles to handle even the weakest Pidgeys and Rattatas. I decide to level up to level 12 so Toph learns Rock Throw, and hopefully that gives us enough power points to get through the grind that is the first gym. Against Geodude, I ensure there's always an active bind so we get some chip damage, and then regular screeches too to lower the Geodude's defense, and also so it spends more time using Defense Curl than actually attacking us. After many rock throws and binds, we are onto Brock's Onix. Despite her being a lower level, Toph outspeeds thanks to all the speed EVs we got from battling wild Pidgeys and Rattata. This approach is the same as we did with Geodude, binding and screeching until rock throws do enough damage to get the job done. On our way through Mount Moon, we catch a Geodude and name him Dwayne, completing Brock's team. When we arrive at Cerulean, we have a go at Paper, and unfortunately our assumptions about Squirtle being difficult to beat were correct. Squirtle outspeeds Dwayne and one-shots him with Water Gun, and Toph follows soon after. We have several attempts with grinding in between, but they all go the same way, again and again. Thankfully, our next attempt is a lucky one, and we manage to knock the Squirtle out with a critical hit Rock Throw, and the rest of his team is easy for Toph to take out. After defeating the trainers on Nugget Bridge and going to see Bill, I decide to give Misty a go. How hard could her fast water Pokemon possibly hit our 4 times weak, slow slabs of rock anyway? On second thought, let's go to Vermilion and get some extra levels. On the way to the SS Anne, Dwayne hits level 25 and grows a second pair of arms. Bonjour, it's time for a fight with Paper. He leads Pidgeotto and I lead Dwayne. We have a lot of levels on him and he goes down in a single rock throw. Next is Wartortle, and taking no chances I blow Dwayne up. I couldn't risk a Water Gun. Toph comes out to avenge her fallen brother and takes the remaining Kadabra and Raticate out with ease. With that I get cut and sprint back to Cerulean to give Misty another go. We lose to Misty again, and again, and again, and again. But finally we are lucky enough to paralyze the Starmie before Toph goes down, and then outspeed and finish the bugger off with a big magnitude from Dwayne. I'm glad we'll never need to fight another water Pokemon again. Surge is a nice change of pace. At this point we're really overleveled for where we are in the game, and we're also super effective against electric Pokemon. All of his Pokemon go down to a magnitude each from Dwayne, and with that we're moving on to Erica. On the journey to Celadon, Toph acquires a new skill and changes her luck. While not quite a rock Pokemon anymore, she certainly still counts as rock hard. Erica leads Victreebel and we lead Dwayne. Dwayne hits a massive magnitude, but unfortunately Victreebel survives on a sliver, and one-shots us in return with a 4 times super effective Giga Drain. Out comes Toph, who finishes the Victreebel off with a neutral dig. Dragon Breaths the Tangela down in a couple of hits, and then 2 more digs take out the Vileplume too. I then grab the Silph Scope from the game corner, and while I'm at it, Dwayne decides 4 arms is actually too many, and evolves into a beautiful crocodile football. Time to show Koga our new fully evolved team. Now before we start, we are about to fight a poison gym leader, and our 2 Pokemon are ground types with amazing ground moves. Surely this won't be a challenge for us. Oh no. Koga starts with coughing and we send out Toph. Scared by our mighty snake, Coughing gets off one smokescreen and then self-destructs, doing a tiny amount of damage to our high defense steel type. Next is Muck, whose whole gimmick is to raise evasion, raise defense, and then whittle down the enemy with poison. The only problem is Tough is immune to poison moves, so what we have here is an indestructible snake meeting an untouchable blob of gunk. Koga hyper potions twice and we finally manage to paralyze Muck, but at this point he's max defense and max evasion. I spam any moves I can and pray they hit. The smart thing here would have been to swap into Dwayne and try for an earthquake. But I'm not smart. After what seems like an age, we finally take Muck down with a strength. Another Coughing is next. We take another smokescreen and I swap into Dwayne to improve our chances of landing a move. Thankfully this Coughing's will to live is as strong as the first and he blows himself up. Finally, Koga sends out Wheezing. We switch into Tough to shake off the smokescreen, then strength after strength finally takes him down. We were never at risk of fainting there, but my laptop was at risk of being thrown out the window. Our next biggest challenge is the Silphco rival fight. I say that, forgetting Dwayne knows rollout. Paper leads Pidgeot, and Dwayne begins his rollout. 2 rollouts take out the bird, next comes the biggest threat, Blastoise, and a 3rd rollout takes him down, a 4th for Execute, and a 5th for Alakazam. Paper's final Pokemon is a small Growlithe, who is smashed by an earthquake. Easy peasy. After clearing out the rest of Silph for the XP and defeating Giovanni again, I make my way to Sabrina. Sabrina's Pokemon all have low defense, and all our moves are physical, so this shouldn't be too bad. Sabrina starts with a Kadabra who goes down after 1 strength from Tough. Mr. Man goes down to 1 HP from 2 more strengths after setting up a barrier. Sabrina switches him out for Venomoth. Venomoth manages to hang on a little longer, confusing us and doing not very effective damage with Psybeam. The Moth goes down after a few more attacks. The weak Mr. Mime returns and is defeated despite Sabrina's desperate attempts to keep him alive with potions. Last is Alakazam, but with his low defense and Tough's resistance to Psychic, he's no threat, and we find ourselves receiving the Marsh Badge. Overleveling in the early game is really paying off in the mid game, as we outlevel most of the people we're facing at the moment. Blaine is next and his Pokemon are weak to ground and rock moves. I think we're gonna do alright. He leads with Growlithe and we lead Dwayne, who starts a rollout. Growlithe goes down in a single hit. Arcanine is next. We miss our rollout as he misses a Fire Blast. We start a new rollout chain as he lands a Fire Blast doing about a 3rd damage. Another rollout takes him into the red as Blaine decides to Hyper Potion. A 3rd rollout has enough power to overcome the 2 Intimidates and get the job done. Ponyta and Rapidash don't stand a chance against the 4th and 5th hits of rollout, winning us the Volcano Badge. 1 badge to go. We're back in Viridian for Giovanni, the imposter ground type gym leader. We all know who the real ground gym leader is round here. He starts with Rhyhorn as we lead Tough. He goes for Scary Faces to try and lower our speed, but Tough still outspeeds and brings the Rhino down with a couple of digs. Then another Rhyhorn comes out. This one goes for Earthquake while we're underground, taking us to half health. A second Earthquake doesn't hit as hard, and we finish the Rhyhorn off with an Iron Tail. Nidoqueen is next, and running on autopilot I go for a dig, forgetting she has Earthquake too. Tough goes down. Dwayne is out and hits back with an Earthquake of his own, one-shotting the Nidoqueen. Nidoking goes out the same way. The trio is last. He hits us with an Earthquake and we retaliate with one of our own, ending the fight and getting us the 8th and final badge. But it's not over yet. Time for the League. Paper doesn't think we're ready for the League, and he might be right. I forget Tough doesn't know rock moves anymore and send her out against Pidgeot. I try Crunch, Strength and Iron Tail to see which does more, taking a Feather Dance in the process. Growlithe is next, and with Intimidate my attack is now lowered by 3 stages. The lowered attack means Dig doesn't quite take out the Growlithe, and we finish him off with a Crunch. Out comes Big Boy Blastoise. Dig barely scratches the surface and Tough is taken down with 2 Water Guns. Dwayne is next. Earthquake does about half as Blastoise sets up a Rain Dance, and then he outspeeds us to one-shot us with a Rain Dance boosted Water Gun. I switch Tough and Dwayne around for attempt number 2. Dwayne starts a rollout but unfortunately gets hit with a Feather Dance. A second rollout finishes the bird off. Blastoise sets up a Rain Dance as rollout number 3 leaves him on 1 HP. Come on. As with last time, 1 Water Gun defeats Dwayne. Tough is out and finishes the Blastoise off with a Strength, but not before being taken down low with a Water Gun. Growlithe is next, but Dig knocks him out in one go. Execute can't survive a Crunch. Alakazam comes out and sets up a Calm Mind as we use Crunch and Strength to get him low. Psychic takes us to 5 HP, and he's outspeeding. This might be it. But oh, he goes for a Future Sight. Thanks. 1 more Crunch finishes him off. Last out is Paper's Rhyhorn. Tough is on 8 HP. I mentally prepare myself to reset. Our Iron Tail leaves Rhyhorn on a sliver, and he comes back at us with a Takedown. Oh, we survive on 3 HP, and with that, Paper is defeated, and we move on to the Elite Four. After a bit more training in Victory Road, we find ourselves at the Indigo Plateau, ready to face Lorelei. Looking at Lorelei's team, I can already tell this is going to be difficult. If her team gets an opportunity to hit us, chances are they're going to kill us. Let's have a try at the current level and see how it goes. Lorelei leads Dugong and we go for Dwayne. Rock is super effective against ice, so we start a rollout and do good damage. We'd knock it out on rollout number 2, but there won't be a rollout number 2 today. We're taken down in a single surf. Tough comes out and survives the surf, but isn't doing nearly enough damage to the big fat seal, and a second surf takes us out. Okay, time to do some more attempts with training in between. Eventually, with Dwayne 4 levels higher, we get this run. Same approach as our first, Dwayne starts a rollout, but this time Dugong sets up a safeguard instead of attacking. As Dugong didn't set up Hail, Cloister will want to, so he doesn't go for Protect, meaning our rollout keeps going, knocking him out. Jinx is next, who does massive damage with an Ice Punch, but rollout number 4 takes her out. Lapras is the big threat, but a super effective max power stab rollout takes it out without a problem. Finally, Slowbro comes out, and not wanting to take any chances, we outspeed and blow up, finally defeating the first Elite Four member. Bruno uses physical attackers, so I don't think our mega high defense brick wall should be too worried. We get Dwayne glued back together and we're ready for another fight. Bruno leads Onyx, so we send out his big metal sister. Onyx has Earthquake, so we go for Iron Tail instead of Dig, taking a small amount of damage from Earthquake as Onyx outspeeds. The second Onyx brings us to about half health with another Earthquake as we bring it low with an Iron Tail. We get a bit of extra damage in with a Crunch as Bruno uses a full restore. A few more Iron Tails due to some misses get the job done, but Toph has been brought quite low. Next is Hitmonchan, who outspeeds and finishes Toph off with a Sky Uppercut. Dwayne is out and goes for a double edge, which very nearly takes the boxer out, but oh no, counter. And down we go. This might say something to how Brock is going to end up ranking on the leaderboard if even Bruno is a challenge for him. After a bit more training and a few more retries, we get this run. We lead Dwayne this time and 3 Earthquakes take out the 2 Onyxes and the Hitmonchan. Hitmonlee goes down to a double edge, and finally it's Machamp. Amazingly, our Quick Claw activates and Dwayne is able to explode, taking the Machamp out before he gets a chance to cross-chop us. On to Agatha. This would be a lot easier in Gen 1. 5 poison Pokemon and we can only use ground moves on one of them. Agatha leads with Gengar as we go with Dwayne. Dwayne uses the only move he has that can actually hit these ghosts, which is Rollout. 2 rollouts take out the Gengar, the next 2 take out the Arbok, with the 5th and final one taking out the Golbat. Out comes Haunter and we go for a rollout again, but get put to sleep and brought down by Dream Eater. Toph comes out next but gets put to sleep, cursed and taken down as well. Time for another grind. After a bit more training and an extra level on Dwayne, we try again. This time we lead with Toph, who takes the Gengar down eventually with a few crunches after missing a lot due to double team. Next is Haunter, who we take down with another 2 crunches after thankfully waking up early after hypnosis. For Golbat we switch into Dwayne and knock the bat out with 2 rollouts. Bad Confusion Luck ends our rollout streak, but we manage to outspeed the Arbok and take her down with a super effective Earthquake. Time for Agatha's final Gengar. We have no choice but to go for rollout, but we don't land a hit as Dwayne gets locked into a nightmare and then taken down. No. Out comes Toph and does massive damage with a crunch, with Gengar hanging on by a sliver before healing a bit with a citrus berry. Gengar then puts us to sleep and locks us in a nightmare. Wake up, 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 wake up. On 1 HP remaining, Toph wakes up and lands a crunch, finishing the Gengar off and finally allowing us to move on to Lance. Lance starts with Gyarados, who I must have forgotten about seeing as though I start with Toph, and I have nothing to hurt him with. I do a small amount of damage with Iron Tail, Strength and Crunch, but Toph is getting low from all the Dragon Rages, so we switch into Dwayne. Dwayne goes for his favourite move ever and lets off a rollout. 3 rollouts finish off the Gyarados after Lance heals, the 4th and 5th take care of the Dragonairs. Next is Dragonite and I decide to go for another super effective rollout. Dragonite does a bit of damage with Outrage, but 2 rollouts are enough to finish him off. Aerodactyl is the last, who does a small amount of damage with a wing attack before our 3rd rollout defeats him. At this point I'd spent half an hour trying to defeat the first 3 Elite Four members, and then I defeat their leader in 45 seconds. It's now time for the final battle, Paper. As always, Paper leads with his bird. Dwayne starts a rollout, but due to Feather Dance and a full restore it ends up taking 4 hits to knock the Pidgeot out. Oh well, at least the next Pokemon will be Blastoise, so I can smash it with the 5th and final rollout. Oh no, he went for Rhydon instead. We do just over half with rollout as Rhydon takes us to half with Earthquake. Flustered, I go for another rollout instead of Earthquake and Dwayne is taken out. Toph is able to finish the job with an Iron Tail after being hit by a hard Earthquake. Next is Arcanine, but Toph is outspared and defeated by a Flamethrower. Come on, one final push and I can put all this behind me. A full 20 minutes later, it turns out a lot of my earlier successes were more luck than consistent strategy. I'm now finally back to Paper. The combined level of my team is now 11 higher than it was the last time I was here, and I'm also going to think about what the best thing to do will be rather than just guess. First of all, I don't want to get blocked by Rhydon mid-rollout this time, so I use Toph to bring down the Pidgeot with a few crunches, switching into Dwayne and back to get rid of some accuracy drops. Next is Rhydon, and Toph is brought down to 1 HP before 3 Iron Tails can get the job done. Arcanine is next. He will definitely outspeed and kill Toph, so we switch into Dwayne to shrug off an extreme speed. I start a rollout, hoping that it will have enough power to defeat Blastoise in a few turns. 2 rollouts take out the Arcanine with Dwayne at half health after 2 flamethrowers. Next is Blastoise, and our third rollout is not powerful enough, but the RNG gods decide we need a break, and Blastoise's Hydro Pump misses. The fourth rollout finishes the turtle off, and our fifth defeats the Exeggutor. Paper's final Pokemon is Alakazam. It's now or never. My stomach is growling for dinner, and I really want to stop playing Pokemon. As Alakazam sets up a Reflect to try and shield itself from what's to come, we explode. And we've done it! Toph is our lone survivor on 1 HP. Brock defeats Paper. I stop the timer once we've been entered into the Hall of Fame, and Brock gets a real-world time of 3 hours, 27 minutes and 47 seconds. In conclusion, as this is the first in the series, I won't be able to compare how Brock performed against the other gym leaders, but I can talk about my main thoughts I had throughout this challenge. Brock's Pokemon feel like they were made to be bad. They were made to be immovable objects, resisting your physical moves until you're smart enough to exploit a weakness or their low special defense. They're good as a first boss into the game because they teach you about some important mechanics, but when they're used on the offensive, as I've done in this challenge, the cracks really start to show. Rock moves are powerful but cruelly inaccurate. I just don't see how blowing a slow-moving bubble of water towards someone is guaranteed to hit, but lobbing a ton of rocks at them has a chance to miss. It's madness. Ground moves are powerful and accurate, which is great, but then as I mentioned before, more than half of the poison types we seem to fight are immune to ground. And also, they are really slow, so a lot of my resets came from being outsped by a special attacker who could demolish me, meaning I had to be 10 or so levels above my enemies at all times just so I could hit them before they hit me. I think Brock is going to rank quite poorly on my leaderboard once I've got a few more challenges complete, but let's wait and see. Well, thank you for watching if you've made it this far. Please join me next time where we'll be trying out an all-out offensive with Water-type Pokemon. See ya!